And if you want to get conservative America really behind this, and not in terms of the Republicans and the Democrats, we know who's controlled by corporate power, but in terms of the people who typically vote Republican, you got to go after Walmart. That's where it's at, because the Waltons completely destroyed the heartland and the South in this country. Destroyed it. Destroyed small businesses.
Long before Amazon.
Yeah, destroyed communities. I mean, in my opinion, you can have some justification behind Jeff Bezos because he simply monopolized an industry that is needed. He obviously made an effort to mitigate some of it because he does do some business with small businesses. But what the Waltons have done to this country in terms of mom and pop shops all throughout the areas of this country that are not on the coastlines, they've destroyed it. And they are as massive supporters of neoliberal politics as anybody. In fact, there are a lot of people who think it's the Waltons that got Bill Clinton into the White House in the first place. So as far as I can tell, the labor push must continue, but you've got to go after Walmart. To me, that's going to be an even harder fight, because in many ways, Walmart represents communities as a whole financially all throughout the country. Amy, Cav, thoughts?
It's interesting to see the relationship between the Walmarts and suburban sprawl that started to, further expand in the 1990s during the time when Clinton was in office. And if you really think that it's going to be the Walmarts, the taking down of Walmart that's going to get some conservatives on board, I'm all ears. I'm listening to you. I only know how to really vehemently go hard on Walmart from like an urban sprawl, suburban sprawl perspective. But all right.
Anytime you drive across the country, times that I've driven on Interstate 10, which is basically where you are across to where Atlanta is, or if you're driving on Interstate 80 or any of the major interstates like I-5, when you're driving through small town America, you're pretty much always going to find a Walmart. They're always there. And
there's a map. You can see them, how many they grew over the years. It's insane. You can look up a map of the total number of Walmarts that have been established over the entirety of their existence. And it's ridiculous how many there are. Sometimes there's a Walmart that's within a 2.5 mile radius, which is how they were able to capitalize on the siloing of suburban neighborhoods to create far more Walmarts than were actually needed. And that also really hurt local business. That's how they really got down at that micro level, and they were able to kill so many smaller businesses because of the total number of Walmarts per capita in some areas. And then, of course, they targeted rural areas as well. That absolutely killed business in rural areas. Dollar General is getting, yeah.
And this is also why I get really upset when people go after the majority of Trump supporters. We went to a Trump rally here in South Florida.
We did.
The crazies, they make up about 5 to 10% of the group. But the overwhelming majority of people that go there are normal working class people.
I don't know that I'd call them normal, but I will say that it was a very broad spectrum.
Yes.
And by the way, down here, a lot of Orthodox Jews
and a lot of Latinos.
Yeah.
And then the point I wanted to make was, Trump had a great message of America first. Yeah. Now, of course, they turned it around and made it into white nationalism. But the truth of the matter is, this country is suffering. They can't get a job, and the jobs that they have don't pay because they're able to outsource everything like Walmart does. They do business in China. They pay a slave wage. And so when you are desperate, you will go for the carnival barker who will say the right thing but doesn't actually give a shit about helping you. He'll say the right stuff. Trump had the right message, but he's a false prophet. Bernie was the one who had the right message and needed to be the one who made it to the finish line. And so where we stand right now is there are a lot of good people that are out there that are just so desperate for help that they'll turn to somebody like Trump, because that is what companies like Walmart and Amazon and Dollar General, they have done to completely destroy this country.
I have a question for Cav. Like, what does it look like this might be a totally stupid American question, but regarding that complete monopolization that we have here with like Walmart, and now we're seeing it with the dollar stores, what's it like in the UK as far as small businesses versus mega stores?
Yeah, so we do have Walmart in the UK. It's called Asda. But Asda is actually one of the smaller shopping outlets. So we have Tesco, Asda, and Sainsbury are like the big three, and there's a couple more. And you'll find one of these in like every part of the UK. Like I drove around rural Scotland for my holiday in the summer, and you'll still find a Lidl, you'll still find a Tesco, no matter where you go. Like it's absolutely everywhere. The thing in the UK at the moment, UK is a lot more like urban in terms of like we have so many towns and cities, but the death of like the UK high street is something that has become massive. So basically, you guys probably know this, gambling shops and stuff, they pop up in the poorest areas. So you'll go to a poor area, gambling shops, chicken shops, McDonald's, Burger King, most independent shops are gone. So I actually took a trip to Gibraltar when I was in Spain. Gibraltar is a British colony basically in Spain. And it hasn't actually had this like globalization. So everything there is independent, and it's so jarring being in a part of the UK where there aren't many chains apart from maybe like a Domino's pizza. So it's something that's like, it's not happening to the scale of America, because what we generally have with most like companies that do services like supermarkets or, you know, gas and oil, there's like it's kind of like how you guys have the big, like the broadband companies, but the difference is they all like agree to divide up the country among themselves so they can have the monopoly. Where in the UK, you have these companies who kind of like, I think they meet with the government to like sort certain things out. So it's not as like, I guess what you're saying, because I think I've heard Amy talk about this. In America, I can't believe you can't walk most places. And in some places, there's no access to fresh food. Like you literally have to eat like Taco Bell, McDonald's. And it's absolutely wild to me. Like I cannot imagine living in a place where that is my option. And I think it's something about like how the US, and Amy probably elaborate a bit on this, like how the US is built as a country, where instead of like the UK is like hubs everywhere, like town, massive city, town. And even like rural communities do have this aspect. But in the US, it feels like just like Amy was saying, like urban sprawl, suburbs, nothing there. And you cannot get out without a car. So that, I think that allows things like Walmart to become the center of a place. It's like, well, Walmart, I know Costco's not as bad, but like Walmart, it's just like, that's where you get everything. And, you know, with the communities all building up in these, I guess, massive, like just sprawl of suburbs, then there isn't like a high street like the UK. There isn't somewhere to go and get all these different shops. So that's like the difference in the UK. It's definitely a problem. And we do have basically, I guess the main problem is everything you'd normally get in a high street has been taken over by a chain company. And that's the difference. It's like, everything is still there, but everyone who owns a private business is going out of business, and it's just a big corporation with little shops everywhere. So if that's, you know, I'm drinking this right now, it's a Costa coffee that replaces basically every small coffee shop, like Starbucks. We have like two of them, and that's the problem in the UK compared to the US, where it feels like, I guess, I don't know, like corporate colonization maybe is like a good word. Just like gentrification as well, for sure.
Yeah, we definitely have that problem. We have a lot of food deserts here. And there's neighborhoods in our district where there's nothing near them but junk food. Nothing. Like you couldn't find fresh produce unless you walk for miles. And that's a huge problem. Like, I don't even think I would mind chains if they were healthy food in different neighborhoods. Then I don't think I would care if they were owned by the same thing. Like that wouldn't bother me as much. If, you know, you put a sort of like a mini fresh market type of thing in every neighborhood, and it was all owned by I don't think that it would bother me that it was one company. But right now we've got places where people can't get healthy food at all. And I think yeah, we have a lot of food deserts. I mean, you know about this, Amy.
Yeah, it's an assessment that is made by executives in a room making an assessment of the risks and the rewards, and they decide that there's not enough concentrated wealth in the area to ensure that their company is going to be profitable. And so if the amounts of wealth based on the household income in a given area does not indicate that the grocery store chain will do well, they just won't enter that area. Dollar stores will. Dollar stores, the Intercept broke down a really good analysis of this and how there is one lender that has essentially never turned down a dollar store from getting a loan for commercial space. So they have assumed so much risk by purchasing commercial space in areas that tend to resemble these food deserts. But because of how much profits they make elsewhere, it does help to leverage out those potential losses. But we don't necessarily know how they have leveraged all of that debt, because that debt is bundled and sold in the form of mortgage-backed securities, the same way that subprime mortgages were, that ended up crashing the economy in 2008. And so nobody really knows, but we know that the relationship that Dollar Store has with their gigantic lender, it might be Bank of America, it might be Wells Fargo, could be Chase, but basically it's one lender who has never turned them down, and they get to package their debt and then they sell it off. That's then tranched and sold again on the secondary market in the same way that our current residential debt is still sold on Wall Street, or that is, gambled on by Wall Street hedge fund managers. So that being said, especially with the commercial spaces that are available and the economic disruptions that cause a lot of people to decide not to renew their lease, we could be experiencing not just a residential market bubble, but a commercial one as well, which could lead to many difficulties down the pike that I don't think that we're ready to really discuss. But yeah, it's a risk.
I actually think that companies that want to go into vulnerable areas should be subsidized to do so, because obviously they are not going to see the same profits that they would see in other areas. But in order to keep those businesses into those neighborhoods, we need to offer them something to do so. So there's got to be a way to subsidize those businesses and offer them something that makes it worth their while, or at least makes it so that it's not a loss for them to operate in neighborhoods that wouldn't otherwise be profitable.
Yeah, the Community Investment Act that was introduced by Jimmy Carter was supposed to give really low interest loans to communities to help with building sustainable businesses for local business owners. And that just got co-opted by other, bigger company owners that took advantage of those FHA-backed or, low interest loans, which is what you tend to see right now. Think about how many people were able to secure small business loans whenever they were issued during COVID-19. Big business do not mind to overstep the government sweetheart deals that are literally crafted to help smaller businesses or communities in need of some additional investment. It does not matter to them.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.